Anquan Boldin. Now, he spent most of his career with the Cardinals and the Ravens, but he had a few good years with the 49ers, and if he makes it, it'll be based on his totality. What did you think of Anquan Boldin's career, and does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, him too. Is this his first year now? Or is this like, they throw out so many names, I don't know. First ballot, he's someone who should, again, someone who should have to sit for a little bit, but yeah, why not on the Hall of Fame? He's Super Bowl champion. He was a baller. I'm not sure how, I don't think he ever qualified. No, there's no way he qualified for an All-Pro, but I think he's one who's going to have to sit for a very, very good while, like at least like 3 to 5 years before you really get in there. I mean, you've had other greater players who've had to sit on the burner for a minute before they got in. But although, man, just watching him play, he was like, it was crazy to see. It's not like he was the fastest guy, but he literally was someone who you had to cover him and make sure you made a play on the ball, because if you let him catch it, you weren't bringing him down. He was like a running back made receiver. And I think when Deebo Samuel started to break out in his rookie year, you started to see, like, did we get Anquan Boldin 2.0,
with
but
speed.
a faster version?
With speed,
crazy.
yeah, absolutely.
Speed,
yeah, that's exactly what he is. Yeah.
So that was just crazy to see. It's like, God, I was like, I remember a couple of games Deebo started to go off for the 49ers. It was like, is this guy like, are we starting to see it again? So it was brilliant to see. So Boldin, I wouldn't pull the trigger so early. He's got to wait for a while.
Yeah, I don't know that Bolden's going to make it because I think the way it works for wide receivers is kind of like with running backs. It's like raw numbers. Like, did you get enough receiving yards? And I mean, he only went to 3 Pro Bowls, which is crazy to me. He was on a lot of run-first teams. But the way I look at it, I think he should be a Hall of Famer. He was the best offensive player on a Super Bowl champion team. In that game against the 49ers, he destroyed the Niners. They couldn't cover him. He punked Carlos Rogers. I mean, Ray Rice didn't do anything in that game. I mean, the only reason the freaking Ravens won that game is because Boldin went off. I mean, they had a couple, like Jacoby Jones Jacoby, whatever his name was, had a good catch. But Boldin was great in that game. Then he came to the Niners and was the best player on their offense for a couple of years. I thought. I think he deserves it. But, like, I also felt that, like, T.O. and Randy Moss shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because I always felt like, man, you guys never were the best player on a team that won anything, and you're supposed to be the greatest. But they had great numbers, and they produced consistently. I just think it's kind of messed up that a champion like Anquan Boldin isn't going to make it, but someone like T.O. who, like, ruined teams and got, like, tossed around the league in his prime made it. But I don't know. Give me Boldin over T.O. That's me. Give me Boldin.
Yeah, it's all these Hall of Fame debates, especially with the NFL, like the way they use their prerequisite, their whatever standard they use is like it has large holes to poke at, which is why it's always like hard for me to get into. It's like, that's why I was like, I don't care by their measure. Like, to me, I like to see how it's going. Like Moss and T.O., come on, they're Hall of Famers to me. Bold is someone, if you're gonna put him in the Hall of Fame, I think he needs to wait. And back to Willis, it was like, you know what? As great as he was, probably was one of the greatest linebackers of all time. It was still a little early for me, and I'm high standards on the Hall of Fame. Maybe not a first ballot, but maybe that second year he should have been in, because now I think it's his time. Boldin needs to wait, or even if he doesn't make it, I wouldn't have no qualms about that.
You said, like, what is the criteria to make the Hall of Fame? The NFL, like, is very vague about it. Can you tell the history of the league without this person? I mean, you probably can't tell the history of the league without Anquan Boldin, but I don't like that. I don't like that criteria. So you're just in the Hall of Fame for being famous? I thought you play football to win the Super Bowl. You play to win the Super Bowl. And frankly, you could win a Super Bowl with Anquan Boldin as your best player on offense. It was proven. No one ever won a Super Bowl with Randy Moss as the best player on their offense, or with Terrell Owens. Never happened. Maybe that's a fluke, but I'm just saying, Boldin deserves some credit. That dude was really freaking good. He was slow as hell, and no one could cover him. It was amazing. He might have ran a 4.7.
Yeah, if you were a player who helped contributed, especially were a main contributor to the Super Bowl runs, even if it wasn't for a Super Bowl season, say it's like, like he was a part of the Ravens for those couple of years, and like he didn't make it the first year, but it's like after some years they made it. And it's like, all right, look, if it wasn't without him all those years and they made the Super Bowl and they won it, that's when I think now you can start accrediting to him, like, okay, yeah, he's pretty much was a Hall of Fame player in that run during that time. Yeah, Super Bowl needs to be a criteria. It can't just be like, oh, how many rings does he have? I don't want to try to make it like, an NBA thing. Like, how many rings does he have? That's pretty much all that happens. But I think if we can really like fine comb it and look down deep and be like, okay, was he a contributor? How much of a contributor was he? Which Boldin, like you said, with those Ravens team and even the Niners on their runs, was a great player.
Yeah, and also Boldin was a team player. Like, he wouldn't complain if he didn't get enough he was on run-first teams. Moss and Owens, you don't have to agree with me on this. No one agrees with me on this, but this is how I feel. Moss and Owens were not team players. They were the ultimate me guys. And I think that's part of the reason they never won Super Bowls being, the best player in their team. There was something off about him, even though Owens came close. Moss didn't. Anyway, that's such a tangent, and no one agrees with me. I'll just move on. Just a second. Josh Wyatt says, is Debo the weakest link on this offense now? CMC does what he does, but better, and you could get a much better traditional wide receiver for $25 million. I was thinking that the Niners essentially are paying Debo Samuel now for that one long run a game. That's pretty much what they're paying him for, if he can give it to him.
You pay him to score one long run that sets up a touchdown and scores a touchdown. You can think of a lot worse ways to use your money, like $40 million.
I just think it's funny, it's 24 for him and like 12 for McCaffrey. So the Niners are spending about $36 million a year on gadget players. They're good though, but neither one really has a true position. Like McCaffrey, he's a running back who's McCaffrey. The best thing McCaffrey does is catch the ball. And the best thing Debo does is run the ball, which I think is very interesting. And they're very expensive.
I think it gives you more value when you're a versatile player. That's just me on both sides of the ball.
Of course.
If you can flick all over and be in a position, like you pretty much turn into a queen chess piece at that point, which I'll take that over the rook, but whatever. At least you're interchangeable, put him anywhere. You can have a lot of fun with that weapon.
Right. But the question with Debo is he two things or is he neither? Right? Like, it was the same thing with Solomon Thomas. Are you a D-end and a defensive tackle or neither? He was neither. Debo is a really good player, but is he a wide receiver? I mean, man, he's not having a great year as a wide receiver. So he's kind of in between. And as a running back, man, like he misses holes. He doesn't have great vision. He has like one good run a game or something, if that. I don't know, man. He's really expensive. They got to figure out what he does.